The feeling of traveling after a loved one has passed, it's surreal. Though when they're nearly 100, I guess the loss is more of a celebration of life. What was her life? I've been wondering. I find myself perhaps more curious than my siblings. They wanted to just sell the home when we found the letter. My pocket repeatedly vibrates, pulling me from these thoughts. I might have to shut my phone off. This is getting out of hand. Though I attempt to distract myself with the swiftly moving terrain through the train window, the vibrating remains constant. One more. Only one more time will I listen to you rant about how I never make the right choice. I'm an adult, Benny. At some point, I get to learn my own lessons, I say coldly to him. Benson has always tried to tell me exactly how to live my life. Right now, he needs to be headed home to his family, to his fancy corporate job overseeing important projects. This task of selling grandmother's house is right up my alley. I've worked in renovation. I could increase the value prior to putting it on the market. I just don't understand why he is so insistent on taking care of it.
Look, I get that you think you're going to be useful over there, but that town is not a place any of us should visit. Please, let me get in touch with some realtors and get it taken care of. We do not need to be going there. Please. Wait. What's that sound? Are you on a train? You said you were going to New York for the week.
Benson started to sound frantic, raising his voice. There was a hint of fear lacing his words. Valerie gave me the deed. I've told you before. If you can't be specific on why I shouldn't visit, I don't see the harm. The letter did not warn us of any danger. It just said to make sure we sold the home. Please stop calling me. You're draining my battery. I tap my fingers on my leg as I speak, rhythmic in a way I've always found soothing. There was a silent pause. I almost gave a sigh of relief.
You don't understand. Whenever Mom or Grandma mention that house, that town, or even if they simply mention Halloween. Do you remember Halloween? Not at our house, but do you remember when we took a trip to see Grandma? Tonight is Halloween, Vic, of all nights.
His voice sounds rushed, the fear from earlier growing more obvious. I try to deny it, but a shiver of dread, a feeling like a nail grazing my spine sends my heart into overdrive, the air around me growing cold. I don't know what you're talking about. They never told me anything about... I say, finally, the words feeling like an automatic response. Can I remember? Trying feels wrong. I tug at the memory, children's laughter echoing with such volume that I become nauseous.
Vic, turn around. I'll tell you everything I know. We can try to make sense of it, but please, just come back. I'll cancel my flight home, and we can spend the...
I hang up on him. Staring at the blur of trees, I regain my composure with a breathing exercise. I had a really bad memory as a child, but whatever Benny was saying was extremely triggering. Maybe I should turn around. After all, Mom is gone too. Dad hasn't made contact in a while. Our sister, Valerie, well, she's 6 years younger. If something happened on that trip, Benny would have a better idea than anyone who was at the reading of Grandma May's will. But I remember the odd feeling I got from seeing pictures at the funeral. How I felt I hardly knew her. This detachment. We didn't visit often. That might have even been the only time. I don't remember letters either. She lived so long and I feel we hardly knew her. I want to know her. It feels respectful to try, at least, with such a gap in memories. In fact, the only memory I have was making homemade bread and her having me punch the dough. She had this sweet smile and would make fresh lemonade. My phone vibrates again. This time I shut it off. It's hard to process these emotions with my brother begging me to return. That's another reason I would like to visit her home before selling it. I feel like there's something I need to let go of. Or to discover. no amount of his pleas will change my mind. I feel my anxiety dissipate as my resolve solidifies once more. Flipping through a magazine that was tucked in a nearby seat's pouch, I try to forget about Benny. My mind wanders to memories of our sister, then to my brother as well, which I allow as the context was rather silly. We used to play games of being detectives, hunting for clues to catch the monster. The monster would snatch our stuffed animals, slowly gathering them, and the game ended if he got them all. I remember Mom looking horrified when we tried to get her to be the monster. Then her and Dad getting us a bunch of games from the thrift store and trying to learn them all with us. I remember Mom and Dad whispering about Grandma's health, that they had to put her in a facility. The funeral mentioned she lived many of her years leading up to her death enrolled in a program for the mentally troubled. She was involved with starting an art club there, but that's as far as my knowledge on her goes. The screeching of the train coming to a stop jolts me from the mental image of her getting a bunch of peers to paint with her.
Welcome to Massachusetts, folks,
the announcer says as the doors slide open. I gather my things and hop off. The station is mainly dark brick, a bit worn down but contemplated by swirls of green metal. As I walk past the booth, I spot a stack of local travel maps, snatching one up. Walking through what seems to be a town square, I pause near the water fountain and search for the street my grandmother's house is on. It seems to be a bit of a distance. Spotting a convenience store, I make my way in there to figure out the local commute options. The train was as far as I had planned, considering her house resided in the town the station was connected to, but I imagine there is some sort of local cab service. As I enter the store, the candy aisle catches my attention. Despite this being a smaller store than a grocery store, there is no evidence of Halloween. Seeing the candy had made me think I should stock up just in case of trick-or-treaters, but where are the variety packs? Settling for a giant handful of Tootsie Rolls and Starburst bags, as they are at least individually wrapped, I head for the cash register. On the way, I end up snagging a turkey sandwich, a box of Captain Crunch, and a bag of nuts. Hey there, is there a better spot for Halloween candy? Should be getting trick-or-treaters right about when I get to the house. I ask, eyeing the lack of decor. It's as if the holiday doesn't exist here. The cashier grunts and shakes his head slowly, eyeing me up and down as he scans the things.
You ain't from here. No one, and I mean no one, should be opening their doors for any visitors tonight.
He mutters. I don't even know what to say to that. Clearly, they are not the type to celebrate holidays. I'm visiting my grandma's house. Is there a way to get up to the mountain? It looks like a bit of a walk, and it's getting dark soon. I ask, looking around the booth for any local information. There were signs advertising puppies for sale, ones that look like hounds, and a couple signs for lawn care. A little cutout of a moon and a tree that said, "Stay vigilant."
You should go home. Should be another train ticket for at least an hour. Get out of here.
The cashier says, staring at me coldly. My heart drops. There's something unsettling about the way his stare doesn't waver. But I've experienced my fair share of bullies, and this one is not telling me what to do. Or at least his words will have zero weight on my decisions. Tonight, I am passing candy out at my grandma's house. I hand him the money and leave before he could give me the change. Tugging my hood on, I begin the journey up the mountain, careful to double-check the signs and not get lost. The sun begins to set. I quicken my pace, though it seems I'll have to turn my phone on for the light.
Hey, you there? Where do you think you're going?
A voice bellows from above. I stop in my tracks, nearly dropping my bags. Looking around, I can't seem to find a source for the voice, until I spot the window of a nearby house. An elderly lady on her second story was peeking out with binoculars. I'm going to my grandma's house up the mountain, I yell up to her, holding in my laughter. She appears a bit ridiculous up there.
Oh, no, that mountain is trouble. Get out of here. You're lucky you haven't gotten snatched.
She warns me. Snatched? Wait, what? What is snatching people? Suddenly, the area doesn't feel as safe as it had prior. This had felt like a cozy town. The air is a bit brisk, but overall, this place had seemed peaceful. She peered down at me, crossing her arms.
You look young. Yes, just the age. I stay here to warn you. Any children, I must say, it comes to trick, not to treat. Don't you dare let out a scream. It's the voices. It's in the voices. Shh, shh, look, you see, you must not scream.
The lady's laughter was awfully loud. Panic set in and I began to sprint down the street. Fumbling for my phone, I hold the button down for it to power back on as I put distance between me and that loony lady. I flip on its flashlight and search for a street sign, finding one that says Creston. 2 more streets. Long, forest-filled streets. My phone begins to ring again. I answer it, putting Benson on speaker so I can still see where I'm walking.
I rented a car. It's a 9-hour drive. Please tell me you're not there.
Benny begs. Benny, this place is really fucking weird, I say. I'm not even going to deny it anymore. I should have listened to him.
Do you remember what happened when we last visited?
He asks me. I don't remember, I manage to say. There's something about trying to remember that feels absolutely foul.
Valerie was too young. It was us, Mom, Dad even showed up. I know you remember that. Grandma and Mom, they kept talking about how maybe we should all go somewhere else for the holiday. And then there were reports of missing children. It happened very fast. Vic, you've got to come back. Turn around right now. Please, tell me you at least remember.
I hear my brother make a sound of frustration and a thud. Benny? What am I supposed to remember? I ask, ringing getting louder in my ears. I'm beginning to regret my attempt at adventure. Earlier, he had made it sound like it was just a hassle, but that vacation trip he's talking about. I remember arriving. I remember a nightmare. I remember everyone being absolutely terrified and saying it's time to go home. The nightmare. It was about the forest and there was so much laughter. Everything was so incredibly funny, but it wasn't. It wasn't funny.
Vic, you wouldn't tell us what happened, but you were gone that night, and Dad went to get you. But no other kid came back. Dad won't say a thing about it,
my brother says. I feel the hair on my neck stand up, feel the overwhelming sense of danger that the darkness seems to hold. Like teeth-lining jaws, the trees surround me with an animus sensation. I find myself unable to speak, unable to walk, unable to breathe. Finally, I begin breathing and whisper to him. It's dark out.
Are you outside?
Yes. Silence. Silence behind, in front, around. Nothing. Nothing is there. Nothing is there.
Victor, you need to run to the house. The key is beneath the statue behind the house. Run.
My brother instructs me. He doesn't need to tell me a third time. I'm sprinting as fast as I've ever ran before, adrenaline coursing through my veins. I must have hung up on Benson. My phone is vibrating again. Benny! I answer, still sprinting, rounding a corner and hitting the final street.
Cover your ears. ears. Make sure you can't hear. Vic, it's important. Rip your shirt or something, but fill your ears now.
Benny screams, then hangs up on me. I don't even question it. Shoving my phone in my pocket, I bite at my shirt and begin ripping a chunk from the center as I run. Ripping that piece into 2 pieces, I try to shove them in each of my ears. It keeps coming out. I end up sprinting, holding each of my ears with the cloth wadded up against them. The candy, my food, I must have dropped that farther back down the road. All that matters is getting to Grandma's. But then, will it be safe there? Safer than here, sure. But what am I up against? That lady mentioned getting snatched. She said something about the voices and not screaming. Benny said to cover my ears. I need to make it so I can't hear whatever it is. Every time the cloth felt like it was buffering the sound well, I would shift and I'd have to smash my palms harder into my ears. Almost there. The house numbers are getting closer and closer to her number. A child stood before me, right in the path leading up to Grandma's house. No, me. That was me, as a child. I stop running and my arms drop to my sides. He looks up to meet my eyes. Then a grin stretches across his face. Laughter erupts from him. Evil, sickening laughter as his eyes widen and his grin grows. No, I shouldn't be listening to this. I shove my fingers in my ears and squeeze my eyes shut. Opening an eye, I scan the ground in front of me. Its shoes, or my childhood shoes, slowly take steps to approach me. Scrambling to the side, I get up and dash off the path, making a loop around the front yard until I reach the door. Fumbling for the keys under the statue, I keep an eye on the child version of me. Its neck twists. He looks at me before turning his body. His steps are oddly paced, very slow. Finally, the key unlocks and I rush inside, clicking the latch locked immediately. Child me peers up from outside the door's window, tilting his head with a grin. Whatever it is, it moves at a pace I could outwalk. I scrambled to check each window and door. They were all locked. When I tried to turn on a light, it didn't work. Of course, no one's actually lived here in at least a decade, I mutter. Going to the kitchen, I found a large flashlight. Then a knock comes from the front door. I almost ignore it, but it comes again, stronger and more rapid. I approach the door, creeping as slowly and silently as I can. Reaching for the umbrella that sits in a bin in the entryway, I push myself against the door and listen.
Hey, is anyone here? I saw someone running. Please, I feel crazy. This is crazy.
A woman's voice sounds a bit panicked. I immediately open the door without even questioning it. Fear washing over me as it swings open. What if it can disguise its voice? Luckily, my first judgment was correct, and a concerned neighbor stood in the doorway. Something is out there. I need to lock the door, I say, grabbing her wrist as gently as I can and giving it a tug gesture. She steps in, looking bewildered.
What's going on? This is my first year living alone here, and my mom warned me to go on vacation this time of year. I tried to save money staying home, though. What did you see?
The woman looks to be about my age, maybe younger. Not as young as my sister Valerie. Honestly, I am not sure. I pause, trying to process what I know and what has happened. How would I even summarize this? Do children live in this town? I ask her after some pondering. She stares at me, then shakes her head.
I don't think I've ever seen a child here. We moved here when I was already an adult. Like I said, we have always gone on vacation this time of year. The townsfolk, they told my mom that was the tradition. Oh, and she always said this town was best kept to the elderly, that they know the history well. She told me never to have a child here because everyone would despise them. The cursed, they call them.
The woman rambled and seemed shocked by her own words.
The cursed,
she repeated. Sounds about right, I mutter.
Have you been cursed?
She asks me. Then my phone begins ringing again. Ben! My words are cut off by laughter. Laughter that seems to grow as if coming from many, multiplying and echoing. The woman I had just let in the house. There's something not right about her posture. I feel like I'm going to vomit. I back away further, feeling for the wall and creeping around a corner to get out of the entryway hall. Her face slowly rises to meet my eyes. Her eyes widening as her grin begins to stretch across her face. No. Trick! She says with a wild grin before bursting out laughing. She sprints forward. Rows and rows of children stand in the doorway, all appearing to be gray in hue with cracks up and down their bodies. Big smiles stretched upon their faces, eyes widening as they all burst into laughter. No! Shoving my fingers in my ears, I dig my nails in them until all I can feel is pain. See, taste, hear pain. Warm, dripping pain. Squeezing my eyes shut, I drop to the ground. It can't take me. I'm not a child anymore. It cannot take me. Adrenaline pumps through me. This is not how I die. I did not come here to die. Picking up the side table, letting papers and pens fly off it and scatter, I lift it up and sprint towards the woman, barreling the awkwardly long wooden piece of furniture into her. I'm able to get her out onto the porch. It was easier than getting the door shut. Kicking at children's hands and bashing hers in as I attempt to seal the door was one of the most difficult tasks I have ever encountered. Finally, gasping for air, I slide the latch of the lock shut. My ears are throbbing, but I can somehow still hear. I hear their scraping and laughing. Ugh. I try to make sounds to block them out as I move to an upstairs room, getting further from their noises. This time I'm the one calling, dialing my brother's number. I sit huddled over the phone until he answers. Benny? Benson? Dude, please say something and don't you dare laugh. I hardly gave him time to respond, but my mental state is far from patient right now. I need him here, now. Again, like all the times I mess up, I need my big bro to come fix it all. To tell me what to do. Ugh. Pathetic. This was so incredibly foolish of me.
Victor, what is going on? I'm on my way. I tried to fill Valerie in on everything and sent her some money to go stay with Clarissa. Looks like I'm arriving around 3 a.m. I've got some weapons in the trunk.
My brother says, sounding much calmer than earlier. He's always been the best at this, figuring out a plan and taking care of all the little details. This problem, though, I fear, is more than he's capable of fixing. There's no way I'm going to make it that long. Benny, they're out there. There was even this woman, and she seemed normal, but she's not like them. They're filling the front yard. She was so fast. They're slower, but I'm literally one human. How the hell am I going to fight all of those things? I say, tears threatening to spill from my eyes. This is like a video game set to extreme, in the genre that I would absolutely never touch.
Hang tight. Go to Grandma's room. There's a carpet. Go in the room below, then grab the kit. It will have instructions. Call if you need. I'm going to drive as fast as I can.
My brother says before hanging up. I double-check that the locks are bolted before sprinting to her room. How does he know all of this? I'm trying so hard, but that trip is such a blur. There's a ragged gray rug full of stains and rips. I toss it to the side, revealing a big square in the floor with a latch. a key laying next to it wrapped in a piece of paper. I grab the key and shove it in my pocket, lifting the latch to find a narrow stairwell. Giving the room a quick glance, I embark down the stairs. There's no lighting down here. Clicking the flashlight on, I find the stairwell opens up to a hallway with doors. I don't have time for this. The thought of being trapped down here with those things makes me want to vomit. I need to find weapons fast. Trying door after door, each leading to an empty room, until I find one with a lock. Jamming the key in the hole, relief washes over me as it clicks and turns. Inside the room is a long table covered in blades and ammo. The walls are decorated in a fine display of various guns. Even a giant stick that seems to be an electric rod of some sort. Who the hell was my grandmother? This is not a kit. Scanning the room, all I see are the weapons. But the cloth. I grab the cloth from the table and swipe the blades and ammo to the ground as I yank it off. No. What? I step away, then run into the hall and let loose the bile that's been threatening to spill from me all night. Dialing my brother's number, the flashlight flickers out. The battery is dying. God damn it! I yell, just as Benson answers.
Victor, what is happening?
You're not on your way. No, you're not. You know what it says. You know so much. You know it needs. I can hardly breathe.
Vic, I'm driving as fast as I can. I will be there soon. What does it need? What is down there?
My brother replies, sounding rather genuine. No way. No way. How? I'm still in disbelief.
Look, you went missing. Dad and Mom, they screamed at Grandma until she took them down there. Then Dad took a duffel bag out with him and brought you back by morning. That's all I remember. But Halloween, it's dangerous there. Grandma told Mom she always keeps a kit. There's gotta be something that can help you.
My brother again sounded completely genuine. 1%. My phone is about to die. Look, Benny, don't come. The only thing here is a bunch of weapons and It's like some sort of ancient ritual-looking promise. And there's a translation that swears on giving a soul. Then there's these... I realize my phone died. I'm completely alone. Scrambling back into the room, I flick the switch I saw earlier. Of course, it doesn't work. Propping the flashlight against the wall, it illuminates the room, albeit flickering. I throw the cloth back on the table. I cover up the pictures. The little locks of hair pinned with each one. Grabbing a gun that I remember my father teaching me how to use, I stock myself full of its ammo, then move onto the blades. Wait, I want more guns. Not sure. Close combat is going to be easy. What am I even saying? I've only ever fought someone in a damn video game. A sound makes me go completely still. Listening. Silence. Then scraping. I slowly back myself into the closet, too afraid to shut the door in case it would creak. Pushing myself against the wall, I aim towards the door. The woman doesn't look like a woman anymore. Not really. You can tell that she was a woman before. Well, her face seemed to have branches growing out of it. Thick, purple muscles of branches. Like a tree would have leaves, her extra limbs were sprouting eyes all over. A faint echo of laughter begins as the children enter the basement. I should shoot her. But where? Not her eyes. No, I should shoot her in the chest. But there's trunks sprouting from there too. In a video game, you would shoot at an open mouth. Does she even have one? She hovers over the table, gently lifting the cloth up. Then her body bends over, the eyes all leaning in and squinting as she gives it a sniff. My hair. Suddenly her body straightens and the eyes widen, all focusing on the closet. On me. I feel like I was tossed off the top of a tower. I would have rather been. The sound of me shooting sends sharp pain throbbing through my skull. Gritting my teeth, I take a few steps towards the monster while I aim for her chest, face, and torso. It feels like I'm hitting her, but she hasn't moved. Finally, my bullets run out. Though a lot of her eyes were shot, the ones that remain gaze at me blankly. She throws her head back and lets out a laughter that sounds purely psychotic, like crying and laughing all in one. I lunge towards her with a long curved blade, aiming for her mouth. Though I make contact with her face, it doesn't cut through her flesh as I had imagined. Instead, it halts, as if I had struck something too thick and strong to be cut by this blade. She launches a few of her eyeball-riddled limbs towards me, dropping to the ground. I roll under the table and crawl out the other side, grabbing the electric rod off the wall. Flicking the switch, the rod lights up with a line that resembles lightning flaring from within. The monster hisses, backing away. "Oh, you don't like this, do you?" I tease, stepping towards her. She takes a few more steps back. "Go on, get out of here!" I keep teasing, waving the electricity. I may have taken it too far. The monster cocks its head to the side and smiles, letting out a low growl. Its breathing gets disgustingly feral by the second. The laughter is getting louder. I'm going to die here. Then a loud bang makes the monster turn its attention towards the upstairs. She sprints towards the noise after a moment of hesitation. Banging and swearing, but the laughter. The children swarm into the room, slowly filling it. My hearing may be terrible right now, but the sound of them all laughing is still viable and utterly haunting. The child who resembles me reaches its tiny palm up to me, as if he wants me to grab it. I wave my electric stick around me like a protective barrier as I dart past the children and sprint down the hall, towards the sound of a struggle. When I get up the stairs, I follow the sounds to the kitchen, pausing near the open front door. Banging and swearing continues in the kitchen. Sprinting towards the commotion, I find the cashier from the convenience store whacking the monster with a pot and pan, its thick limbs wrapped around his torso. I jump onto the kitchen table, aiming for the monster's back as I flip the switch to full voltage settings. Her back spasms. Then she turns to face me. "Finally, taste your soul," the monster says. She grabs my face with her thick limbs, eyes filling my vision. "No! No!" I scream. Then the cashier whacks me in the head with a frying pan. I should be dead. I feel the ground. It's wet and sticky, cold. I hear talking, voices. The pain, my ears, my head, my whole right side is throbbing. Opening my eyes, I see my brother crouched down, staring at me from across the room. My sister is there too, even my dad. The cashier lay next to me. There's no way he's just taking a nap. The amount of blood and gashes covering his body. I just want to run to my family. Crying out, I start to limp over. Immediately, my father stands in front of my siblings and raises his arms as if to protect them. Benson is shaking, holding a rifle as Valerie backs away towards the doorway. What? What? Laughter fills my mind. Glancing towards the art my grandma keeps on the fridge, the mirror, my reflection, all of my eyes. No!